What you're about to witness will absolutely blow your mind. At exactly 2:47 p.m. on November 8th, 2024, during the National Victims of Communism Memorial event in Miami, Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis launched the most brutal political attack we've ever seen against America's rising progressive star, Zohran Mamdani. But what happened next, the response that followed, didn't just shock America, it changed everything we thought we knew about modern political warfare. This isn't just another political clash, folks. This is the moment when two completely different visions of America collided head-on in front of 3,000 witnesses and millions of viewers. What DeSantis said was calculated, vicious, and designed to destroy. What Mamdani fired back was so powerful, so precise, and so devastating that even DeSantis's own supporters were left speechless. Picture this. The grand ballroom of the Miami Beach Convention Center, packed with Cuban-American families, Venezuelan refugees, and survivors of communist regimes from around the world. American flags lined the walls. The atmosphere was solemn, respectful, honoring those who fled tyranny seeking freedom. Then Governor DeSantis took the podium, his jaw set with that familiar combative look we've all seen before. For the first 8 minutes, everything seemed normal. DeSantis spoke about freedom, liberty, and the American dream. The crowd nodded approvingly. Cameras captured the emotional faces of elderly immigrants, remembering their homeland struggles. But then, at exactly 2:47 p.m., DeSantis's tone shifted dramatically. But freedom isn't just threatened by regimes overseas, DeSantis declared, his voice rising. Right here in America, we have politicians, young, ambitious politicians, who promote the same failed ideologies that destroyed the homelands these brave families fled from. The room fell silent. You could feel the tension building like electricity before a storm. DeSantis paused, scanning the crowd, letting the anticipation build. Then he dropped the bombshell that would detonate across every news network in America. Zohran Mamdani, the so-called progressive hero from Queens, openly advocates for policies that would make Stalin proud. Universal health care, government-controlled housing, wealth redistribution, these aren't progressive ideas. They're communist talking points wrapped in millennial marketing. The audience erupted. Some applauded wildly. Others looked uncomfortable. But DeSantis wasn't finished. What came next was so personal, so targeted, that it crossed every line of political decency. This young man, born in Uganda, raised by academic elites, has never worked a real job in his life. He's never felt the crushing weight of communist oppression, yet he has the audacity to lecture American families about economic justice, while promoting the very system these heroes risked everything to escape. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. The attack wasn't just political, it was deeply personal, questioning Mamdani's immigrant background, his family's academic credentials, and his right to speak on American values. DeSantis had just declared war using the most divisive language possible. But here's where this story takes an absolutely incredible turn. Within 47 minutes of DeSantis's speech hitting social media, Zohran Mamdani fired back with a response so brilliant, so emotionally powerful, and so perfectly crafted that it instantly went viral across every platform simultaneously. Mamdani didn't hold a press conference. He didn't release a written statement. Instead, he posted a 3-minute video from his apartment in Queens, speaking directly into his phone camera with the kind of raw authenticity that immediately cuts through political BS. Governor DeSantis just attacked my family's story at an event meant to honor refugees, Mamdani began, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of steel. He questioned my right to speak about freedom because I was born in Uganda. Well, Governor, let me tell you something about my family's story that you clearly don't understand. What followed was the most powerful, 100 seconds in modern political history. Mamdani didn't just defend himself. He completely dismantled DeSantis's entire argument, while simultaneously honoring every immigrant family in America. My parents fled Idi Amin's Uganda in 1972. They watched soldiers execute their neighbors. They arrived in America with nothing but hope and determination. My father cleaned office buildings at night while studying for his PhD during the day. My mother worked 3 jobs to keep our family afloat. Don't you dare question our understanding of tyranny, Governor. We lived it. The emotion in Mamdani's voice was absolutely devastating, but he wasn't finished. What came next was surgical political precision that left DeSantis looking like an amateur. You want to talk about communist policies? Let's talk about your record. You've used government power to punish private companies for their speech. You've banned books from schools. You've restricted voting access. Governor, if you're looking for authoritarian behavior, maybe look in the mirror. Social media absolutely exploded. Within 2 hours, Mamdani's response was trending nationwide. The video was shared by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, retweeted by celebrities, and played on every major news network. Even conservative commentators admitted that Mamdani had landed a devastating counterpunch. But what happened behind the scenes during those crucial 47 minutes reveals the true genius of Mamdani's response. According to sources close to his team, the assemblyman was actually in the middle of a budget meeting when his phone started buzzing with notifications. Staffers were panicking, suggesting immediate damage control strategies, maybe a carefully worded press release drafted by consultants. Mamdani looked at the flood of incoming messages, watched DeSantis's attack clip once, then did something that shocked his own advisors. He stood up, walked to the window of his queen's office, and said 4 words that would change everything. "Get me my phone." No script, no teleprompter, no focus-grouped talking points, just raw, authentic emotion channeled through 3 minutes of the most powerful political communication we've seen in decades. His communications director later revealed that she tried to stop him, begging for at least 20 minutes to craft a response. Mamdani's answer? This isn't about politics anymore. This is personal. The video itself became a masterclass in modern political messaging. Shot with natural lighting, no makeup, no suit jacket, just a young man in his apartment speaking truth to power with the kind of vulnerability that cuts through every filter and facade in American politics. You could see family photos on the bookshelf behind him, hear traffic from Roosevelt Avenue in the background. This wasn't a politician delivering lines. This was a son defending his family's honor. Within 30 minutes of posting, the video had been watched 500,000 times. Within an hour, it hit 2 million views. By midnight, it had reached 8 million people across all platforms. That the numbers tell only part of the story. The comments section became a digital testimonial of American immigrant experiences, with thousands sharing their own family stories of fleeing oppression and building new lives in America. What truly shocked political insiders was the cross-party support Mamdani's response generated. Republican Senator Marco Rubio, himself the son of Cuban immigrants, posted a surprisingly supportive statement. While I disagree with Assemblyman Mamdani's policies, his family's story is the American story. We should debate ideas, not heritage. Even Fox News anchor Martha McCallum called the response compelling and heartfelt. The ripple effects extended far beyond social media metrics. Democratic fundraising platform ActBlue reported that small-dollar donations to progressive candidates nationwide spiked 340% in the 48 hours following Mamdani's response. College campuses from California to Maine organized solidarity rallies. The Muslim American community, often marginalized in national political discourse, suddenly had a champion who wasn't backing down from anyone. But the real shock came 24 hours later when the polling numbers were released. In Florida, DeSantis's own state, Mamdani's favorability rating jumped 18 points overnight. Among young voters nationwide, his support skyrocketed to levels that terrified the Republican establishment. Even more surprising, his numbers among white suburban women, traditionally a swing demographic, showed significant improvement. The attack that was supposed to destroy him had instead introduced him to millions of Americans who had never heard his name before. The Cuban-American community, who DeSantis thought would automatically support his attack, began sharing their own immigrant stories, many drawing parallels between their experiences and Mamdani's family journey. The governor's calculated attack had backfired spectacularly. Maria Santos, a 67-year-old Miami resident who fled Castro's Cuba in 1962, posted a video response that went viral in Spanish-speaking communities. When I hear this young man speak about his family's journey, I see my own story. We didn't come to America to build walls between immigrants. We came to build bridges toward freedom. Her video, subtitled in English, was shared over 400,000 times within seconds. The generational divide became even more apparent when polling data revealed that 73% of Americans under 35 viewed DeSantis's attack as inappropriate and xenophobic, while only 31% of voters over 65 felt the same way. Political strategists on both sides immediately recognized that this moment had exposed a fundamental shift in American political discourse. What nobody expected was the international reaction. The BBC ran a segment titled America's Political Awakening, featuring Mamdani's response as evidence of a new generation refusing to be silenced by traditional power structures. Al Jazeera's analysis piece went even further, describing the confrontation as a defining moment where American immigrant communities found their voice through an unlikely champion. The economic implications were staggering. Stock prices for companies with significant Florida operations dropped 2.3% in the week following the controversy, as investors worried about the state's increasingly hostile political climate affecting business recruitment. Meanwhile, New York-based tech companies reported increased interest from young professionals, specifically mentioning Mamdani's response as a factor in their relocation decisions. Behind the scenes, panic was setting in among Republican leadership. Internal polling obtained by The Washington Post showed that DeSantis's favorability among college-educated voters in swing districts had plummeted 12 points. Emergency strategy sessions were called. Focus groups revealed that younger Republican voters found the attack embarrassing and un-American. The most telling indicator came from an unexpected source: Google search trends. In the week following the confrontation, searches for Zohran Mamdani spiked 2,000, but more revealing were the associated searches. Mamdani policies, progressive candidates, and young immigrant politicians all saw massive increases. DeSantis had accidentally created the biggest political star of. Within a week, major Democratic donors who had never heard of Zohran Mamdani were reaching out his team. Presidential speculation began circulating on CNN and MSN. The 33-year-old New York State assemblyman had just become a national political figure overnight, and it happened because he refused to let a bully define his story. But perhaps the most telling moment came during DeSantis's next public appearance. When asked about the Mamdani controversy by a persistent reporter from Univision, the usually combative governor gave a brief, uncomfortable response and quickly changed the subject. His hands visibly trembled as he shuffled his notes. The man who built his career on picking fights had clearly met his match. This confrontation revealed something profound about American politics in 2024. The old playbook of attacking immigrants and progressives with fear-mongering rhetoric is losing its power. A new generation of leaders like Mamdani isn't backing down. They're fighting back with their own stories, their own truth, and their own vision of what America can become. The DeSantis-Mamdani clash wasn't just a political moment, it was a changing of the guard. One represented the past, using division and fear as weapons. The other represented the future, using personal story and authentic emotion as shields and swords simultaneously. As we head into 2025, remember this moment. Remember how a young immigrant son responded a governor's attack, not with anger, but with dignity, not with insults, but with truth, not with division, but with a reminder of what America really stands for. The political establishment thought they could silence Zohran Mamdani with one coordinated attack. Instead, they attentively created their next biggest challenge. Sometimes the most powerful weapon in politics isn't opposition research or attack ads, it's simply telling your truth with courage and clarity. What do you think? Did Mamdani handle this perfectly, or should he have responded differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive political analysis that the mainstream media won't show you.